You know that?
It also comes from all of the different papers, all the different things like Sinaiticus, Vaticanus, all those things are compiled together, right? Isn't it? Or no? In the lexicons.
Yeah. Well, so that's a human definition, and they're reading into that. They're reading into that. So the word here, shekar, Hebrew word, and so it takes two English words: strong, drink. Strong drink. And it's lumped in quite often with wine. So number one, strong drink is a translation. It's a translation. So what does strong drink mean? Well, here again, this is a juice. Usually considered a date juice. It's a juice. Shekar's juice, Oinas juice, or Yayin's juice. It's a juice. So the issue is, at what stage do we find the juice? Now, if you look way back there, in Genesis chapter 9, here we see the first occasion of drunkenness. And 9:21, Genesis 9:21. Well, 20, Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard. So this is after the flood. He gets off the ark. And he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. This is interesting. Wine, drunken, uncovered. That's a lot like Habakkuk. So, obviously, in this case, the yayin is alcoholic. Right? It's alcoholic. So Noah knew before the flood, and then even after the flood, he knew how to take the grape juice and cause it to ferment. He knew how to do that. And now he does do that, and he's drunk and he's naked. He's uncovered. So the knowledge of making grape juice fermented predates the flood. I mean, I don't think he learned it on the ark.
You don't think it was accidental? And is there anywhere in Scripture that says that didn't happen because of somehow? Because I've heard it preached that, well, it wouldn't have fermented until after, or it wouldn't have until, I don't remember where, but it was taught in my past that it probably wouldn't have fermented on the ark, and it wouldn't have before they got in the ark, but then after the ark, it fermented, and he didn't expect it, and he drank it, which always seemed kind of odd to me. I heard it over the years in one of the Sunday school classes. We used to go through.
Well, all we know is after the ark, he has a vineyard. So he didn't do this on the ark. It's after.
It was after the ark, right?
After the flood, he's on the ground. But I guess it's a moot point. Did he know about before or not? But I would assume he did, because remember, the world was in tremendous wickedness. The wickedness of the wickedness. So why wouldn't the wicked world before the flood engage itself in the alcoholic beverage?
Right.
They engaged in everything else.
It's about the right. Well, that's why.
But it didn't happen on the ark. It happened
after
he got on the ground and grew a vineyard. I think the parallel here is before, with the first Adam, we have Adam in the garden, and he sins in his own garden. Now we have Noah in his garden, and he sins in his garden. So we see the first world started off with Adam sinning in his garden. The second world starts off with Noah sinning in his garden. So there's parallels.
That's good.
So, but the point here is knowing how to make grape juice fermented has a history, goes way back to the very beginning of fallen mankind. So he knows how to do that. So these are juices, and these juices can either be taken in fresh, or I guess by temperature and adding sugar, they can become fermented. It's kind of a process. So the winemakers, I guess, they have technical processes. They have to have a certain temperature range. And then I believe they add sugar to it. And there's a process. And if they don't have the process right, then it becomes vinegar. Vinegar. And so you have to work at making the wine, all right? So they have a history on that.
That's good.
That's a good point.
I had the thought, we tend to think of what the world brings out in evolution, that mankind to begin with was ignorant, incapable of doing things, when the scripture says that the very opposite is true. We've devolved,
Yeah,
not evolved.
yeah, that's right.
Genesis 4:22 says that the Tubal Cain was an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. That was clear back at the beginning of mankind. If mankind could make brass and iron, then making alcoholic beverage
Nothing.
would be a child's play compared to that.
Exactly.
So I think we tend to forget that mankind was far more capable
Oh, yeah.
than we are today, and
Sure.
immediately, because they were created by God to be able to do that.
Yeah. Well, must have been where the Iron Age started, before the flood, right? The Iron Age.
The Bronze Age.
Yeah, that's, they try to date things by whether it's the brass or the Iron Age, and take them to this, and
Yeah.
they were contemporary
Yeah,
right from the
yeah.
beginning,
Sure.
so it
yeah.
doesn't date anything.
No, they didn't. So anyway, going back to our word shekar. Shekar is translated two words, strong drink. So the ancient practice of transporting, especially when people would travel and so on, would be to boil down the juice and make it a concentrate. Should be a concentrate. Then they'd have to add water to it and dilute it. So here, this is the Western translation. King James brought this in. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just strong drink would be a concentrate. So what they did was they, rather than, so they needed to give some sort of a translation to shekar. They took, they had wine was the English translation, which comes directly from Yayin, etymologically. But now they needed to have a translation for shekar to distinguish it. And so they bring in strong drink. Now, strong drink can mean several things. It can mean a concentrate, which I believe this is what it means here. Or the more modern meaning is that it has a high percentage of alcohol in it. See, I think this is a later understanding. And so strong drink is a translation. So what does strong drink? You see, drink is not even a transliteration of this drink. It could be strong juice. But if you put in strong juice, right away you'd know strong juice would be a concentrate, not alcohol. Follow that? I'm not folding the King James into translation because this is valid.
It's specific.
But you don't want to bring in a 21st century thought. We got hard liquor, we got strong drink, alcoholic beverage. We don't want to bring that and force that on a 1611 translation. Or even on the Hebrew behind it. You follow that?
Yeah.
But the lexicons, they come late. The dictionaries come late.
Wow.
So of course they're going to bring in a Western mindset here.
Wow.
Okay.
And but since Shekar, or strong drink and wine, see, they both show up in Deuteronomy 14:28. So Deuteronomy 14:28. And the Lord is encouraging the people here, and they can tithe on things and so on. Verse, it's not 28, 26, 14:26. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household. So here's a very positive statement about purchasing wine and strong drink, doing it before the Lord and rejoicing in it. There's no condemnation here. This is commending. So the wine, the wine can be, we would understand, this is grape juice. Excuse me. So what's he saying about strong drink? So strong drink is commended right along with wine. If the wine here is grape juice, that would mean whatever this beverage is must be acceptable before the Lord. That wouldn't be alcoholic. Follow a consistent context there, interpretation. So, shekar is the Hebrew word behind strong drink. So, strong drink is a translation. So we have two English words. It doesn't transliterate. So, shekar is a drink. It's actually a fruit juice. So we could translate fruit juice for that matter, or fig juice. And they bring in strong. So I think here they're trying to convey the idea that this is a concentrate. It's a concentrate.
I think that's.
So here, a concentrate, and what do you do with a concentrate? You water it down. Concentrate is strong. You water it down. And since the Lord's blessings upon this and on this, this cannot mean alcoholic beverage because of Habakkuk 2:15. Condemnation. All right, you see that? So this forces us to have a consistent position. Otherwise, this is an inconsistent position, and you've got violations, and everything falls apart theologically. Yes, sir.
Well, as we, even in that same chapter, you go back a few verses, verse 23, it says, you shall eat before the Lord thy God, and he goes on, says, in the firstlings of herds that flocks, and 24 it says, and if that way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord thy God shall choose to set his name in, and it says, verse 25, then shalt thou turn it into money, bind it up, go thy way, and then as we go on, it says, and that thou shalt bestow it, that money for whatsoever, so, and then it goes on, and including that for wine or for strong drink. So it would imply the very thing you're saying, and that is, if it be too far away or too long, obviously, whatever the purpose would be to have what you're about to spend your money on, it's most useful for what you're about to use it for, which would seem to explain that all out. So, because I wondered where that came from, the strong drink part, because I never heard that before. I heard it here.
Yeah, so this is a problem with even following Western lexicons and modern ones, and popular preaching and so on. That well, we all know what strong drink is because we're living the 21st century now. We know what that is. Well, beer, it's whatever. No, it's not the case. Now there are verses that condemn strong drink. See, so just like the verses that condemn wine, the verses that condemn strong drink. If you look there in Proverbs 23.